There we go.
Ooh, there is a nice, just keep the rod up.
In this video, you're going to see a fun experiment of a new color pattern that we have. It's called shrimptreuse. It's basically the natural color that we've had before, but it has this chartreuse tail at the end. So what I did is I set up my wife with the chartreuse one, and we went out to a nearshore reef and we were bouncing bottom. I had the natural, she had the shrimptreuse, the jig head was the same, the leader lines were the same. And here's a quick snapshot of what happened. So keep an eye on her rod, because pretty soon she gets slammed by a really big fish.
There we go.
Ooh, there is a nice, just keep the rod up. Big fish.
That's a big fish. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Unfortunately, that fish got away, got around some sort of structure down there, and so we kept fishing, and shortly after I started to get some action. This was my first hit. It was just something small, so a little flounder. Just bouncing jigs on the bottom. Really never know what you're going to catch out there. There's a large variety, and you'll see a decent variety here. So here's, you saw me just miss a strike. In many cases, there'll be a strike, and then that means that there's at least some fish on it. In many cases, they'll hit again. So if you're doing this and you get a strike, just slow down and keep going. So there's a grouper. So basically, I was getting some small fish, but with the natural, I wasn't getting any of the big action. And Lindsay had actually missed another big one. I didn't get that on camera, but here's at least a nice flounder that the natural one got. And so here's the next fish that I ended up catching. And again, I had a nice little bite going on. It just was all smaller stuff. That being said, it was at least some good fish to bring home. So there's a nice keeper snapper that we definitely brought home for dinner. It was delicious. And so here's where Lindsay got onto another big fish. I was in the back looking at the depth finder, and again, hooks into another absolute monster. This thing was putting up a heck of a fight. Yeah, so unfortunately, another big one got away. That was a giant fish. He had a 30-pound braid on that setup, and just couldn't stop it. But it's probably a snook. It got around some structure down there. So we kept fishing. Here's the final catch of this trip, but another nice snapper for the natural power prawn. So here's the next morning, and given how that shrimptreuse was getting the bigger bites, I gave myself shrimptreuse, and I didn't tell Joe about it, so I gave him the natural. And look what happened. Now I'm the one hooking into the big fish. So right away, hooked into a really nice fish. Ends up being a solid snook. It was definitely overslot. Took a quick pick and released it. And so we continued fishing. Shortly afterwards, look, watch my rod. It's about to get slammed. Another big snook. And perhaps it's because I had my Snook Strong shirt on. Certainly helped. But I think more of it was due to, for whatever reason, in these early morning hours, that shrimptreuse seems to really attract these snook. This snook was either the top of the slot or just barely over slot, but I didn't measure it. I just didn't even bother getting on video. Just quick picture, released it to get bigger, so hopefully catch another day. So after that snook with Joe, the GoPro battery died. I ended up catching a really nice snapper, and then we had to go back shortly after that. But what I found, which is very unique, and again, there still needs to be more testing to really claim this as a fact or not, but this shrimptreuse color seems to work better when there's low light, like right before the sun comes up, or if it's cloudy. The yellow tail seems to attract more strikes. And then once the sun's up, it seems like once the fish have more vision in the water, the natural seems to outperform. And I've actually done this same sort of test multiple times since then. And again, early morning shrimptreuse has been the ticket. And then once the sun's up, I'll switch over to natural. And that seems to have the best results so far. This testing is an absolute blast, so I will certainly be sure to do more every opportunity I can. But I just wanted to share the results that I've seen so far. If you have tested lures like this, right, chartreuse versus natural, and if you've seen results like this or different, please share below. Love to hear your feedback. So I've been posting a good amount of videos on this nearshore reef fishing, and so I'll talk about tackle, but first, wanted to talk about a tactic that is very important for this nearshore reef fishing. I've been doing this personally, and then I've been seeing the impact when others aren't doing it. And it's really about not going over the reef. Don't motor over the reef with the big motor. A lot of people, for offshore fishing, they're used to just going over and looking on the depth finder to see where the action is, where the most fish are. But when it's only 20 to 40 feet deep, that motor is going to spook the fish. I've seen it firsthand, so I personally always shut down well before the reef. And in many cases, I just drift. I don't even use a trolling motor, that's the quietest way to approach, and that seems to be when I catch the biggest fish. And then after each drift, right, I drift past the reef, and then I circle way around, and then come back and do another drift. That has been by far the most productive way. When other people come out, again, as soon as that motor goes up over the reef, that's when all the big fish shut down, especially the snook. So I wanted to make a point about that. As for tackle, very important to get the tackle right. These fish are big, they're strong, so we need some power, but these lures do require to have some sensitivity, so we need to have the right approach, the right balance, I should say. And what I've seen so far is as far as the rod, that's the most important, is definitely need to have a rod that's rated for at least a 10 to 20 pound range. That has been the preferred setup for me. We're actually in the process of designing our own, but so far this TFO Tactical has been a great choice. This is the medium heavy tactical. It's rated for 10 to 20 pounds. It's very lightweight, it's very sensitive, and it has enough backbone to handle these fish. So if you're looking for a great setup, either the 7.6 or the 7-footer would certainly be a good option. As far as reels, this BGMQ is awesome. I used to use the 3000. I have 20-pound braid on it. If you want to save a little bit of money, the 2500 Daiwa BG is a great choice as well. This BGMQ will just last longer, and it's a little bit lighter, but again, both reels have proven to work. They're great. As far as line, I like this J-Braid 8 grand. This stuff is super strong. And for leader, I use a 30-pound mono, just 30-pound Andy mono, regular mono. I don't use that fluoro. It's too brittle. And then for the bite tippet, I'll go up to a 40-pound bite tippet. Again, still Sam Andy mono. These snook have very abrasive mouths, so since the snook are out there, I go with that 40. And so far, I haven't had anything chew through it, and these lines are still thin enough where I still get plenty of fun action out there. But that's it for the top overview and the introduction to this color test. So thank you so much for your time and watching this video. Any questions at all, comment down below. Thanks so much for your time and watching. We'll see you again soon.